Hey everyone, it's the patient hodler coming at you with another video, and in this one we are going to talk about mindset in a bear market, mindset during a complete devastation, massacre at the markets. And we all know those feelings probably when you're looking at your portfolio and you see it decimated, you see it down, and you are starting to question yourself if you should have pulled out earlier, if you could have done something differently, if you could have made different decisions or more research and so on. So we are going to dive into all of that. We are going to take some thoughts into consideration that we could program our minds on to be able to pass through this bear market and actually use it as an opportunity for ourselves. But before we start, please keep in mind that I'm a crypto and NFT investor and not a financial advisor. So please do your own research before you ape into the different altcoins, into Ecomi, Chiliz, Vechain, whatever we are discussing on this channel. Also, if you enjoyed this type of content, please consider dropping a like, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what you think about the whole market situation at the moment in the comments below. If you want to do a little bit more than subscribing, liking and commenting, also consider becoming a channel member or a Patreon and therefore a rare hodler to my channel. And at this point, I want to thank my remaining rare hodlers for always supporting me, for making it possible that I can come out here and take these videos for you guys. But with that out of the way, let's jump right into the topic. So I have come out here, beautiful side of a little forest that is more as a windbreaker between the fields, so that when the wind comes in from one side, doesn't flatten the corn and everything that is planted here. And we see that also all the way on the other side. So I chose that to reduce a little bit the wind noises for you guys. That could be a little bit annoying, but on the other hand, now you have all the birds behind me doing their part for this video. But anyway, so I chose this little bit peaceful atmosphere to reflect and to consider some things about investing, about lessons that I have learned during my not so long time as an investor in the crypto and NFT space. And I think there are some things that are very important, and that is to have the right mindset when we are going into difficult times, especially if you are one of the many people that has started investing at when Bitcoin already exploded in the beginning of 2021 and of 2022 after the last Bitcoin halving. So the first point here is that we have to keep in mind, if we are coming from the top and we are falling into a bear market and going into a prolonged bear trend, that we have to be mentally prepared that our portfolio could be massacred at this point. Once we accept this fact and already visualize how this could look like when our portfolio suddenly of, let's say, 5,000 euros is only worth 500 euros. And now we have already dropped 60% from the all-time high of Bitcoin, and I think more than 80% already from the previous high in Ecomi, and it does look similar for the other altcoins. So we are already facing that our portfolios are so low, and here we want to assess if this is not already a good opportunity to buy a little bit more, to stack up for the times that when the price is coming back, that your average is so low that you are coming into the profit zone where you have previously been already very red. So this is obviously basic, but it's important that we accept the fact that our portfolio could look very hard, and that we are ready for that, and that we even hope that this point will come, so that in the projects where we are confident that we can stack up more. So stack up more Ecomi, stack up more Vechain, stack up some more Chiliz, for example. These are only 3 of my favorite projects, and then also Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum could be a point where we want to accumulate more. And now in the last days with Terra, we have seen that there will be also projects that are going to completely implode. And I had a little bit of money, not too much, like around 200 euros total in Terra Luna. And now that it imploded, I asked myself, why did I invest in that? And was this loss inevitable, or could I have done actually something about it? And could I have done something differently? And there are several points that I could have done differently. For example, I set myself the mark that when I'm more than 100% up, I would take out some of my investment, at least 10-20% of my investment, just to secure something on the side, to then be able to buy more once it retraces. And when I saw it was 110% in the profits, I didn't do it, because I was thinking that the rest of the market is already so low that once the market comes back and explodes, then I would be so hard in the gains with this little Terra investment that I would then take my profits. And that is the first lesson learned here, that I didn't stick to my goals. I didn't stick to my initial plan, what I would do when a certain benchmark or a certain point has arrived. So when we are now falling into this bear market, and when we are now accumulating, we should already have in mind when we would take some profits and when we would get out of the market again. So let's say you're accumulating a certain amount of Vechain, then you would say, okay, when am I going to take my initial investment, my average investment into Vechain out? And I'm trying to think about that as well. And I think for me, and I will tell you guys, because this channel is not a teaching channel, this is a journey. So I will tell you once the time is ripe when I'm going to take a profit, and actually if I did that at the right time or not, and also what my goal would be. And right now at the moment, if I accumulate more Vechain, for example, I think the 25 cent mark, so the previous all-time high, would be a good mark for me to take some profits if we go there again. And so this is just a thought that I have right now at the moment. So the second mistake in Terra that I did was that I didn't perform enough research, because now that it imploded and now that I did a big video about how it all works, I still found out a lot of things, how they actually work, where the vulnerabilities were, and how algorithmic stablecoins actually work. So in hindsight, I didn't know enough, not nearly enough, about the project. I didn't know where the risk factors are. I didn't find the people that were already addressing the problems. And I saw that I merely invested these 200 euros basically on the recommendation of other YouTubers, on other investors that were telling how good Terra actually is, and how much the value depended on the TVL of the UST and of staked Luna and so on. But I didn't perform enough research like I do, for example, with Vechain, Ecomi and Chiliz, which are the ones that I'm super interested in. And with Vechain, for example, I'm very close in terms of my day-to-day work. So I had a deficit of knowledge and of fundamentals here. So I can only recommend to go over the portfolio of yours again once you're DCAing now, and once you're assessing which ones to stock up on, and ask yourself the question, do I understand what they are doing? I think most of you understand how Ecomi is working. Most of you understand how Bitcoin works and where the value is coming from. But usually we tend to throw some money into projects where we just heard that this has a big potential to explode, but honestly we don't know why. Okay, so this is another lesson learned in Terra. And then the third lesson is to accept when to let go. And this is something we will see in the future, because I saw Terra dropping down significantly and I was like, now I can lower my average, and I still didn't have all the information, so I just threw in some $10. And this goes along with another assumption here, or another lesson learned. I see the comments of the people that are like, I leveraged this with 50x, I got liquidated here and I'm 31,000% in a minus, stuff like that, where this is not a lesson learned from my own pain, because I only lost 200 euros, but I see people actually sharing what they did. And this is once more a reminder that if I can't invest more than these $100 at the moment, then that's fine. There will be other opportunities. There will be probably a prolonged bear market. There will probably more than only 1 week to buy in at good prices. So I don't have to stress myself. Right now, I don't have to overextend. Right now, I don't have to sell anything that I really need, like my car or whatever, like a kidney or so, to get into that project right now. No, I can DCA, I can lower my average with what I have. And if it's this month only $100 that you can put into the project that you perfectly researched, where you know that you want to lower your average, then that's fine. And I've felt this right now so many times that I felt this urge to FOMO in. And I FOMO'd in with a certain amount of money, not overextending, but it could have been less, right? And given me the possibility to buy more now. But I FOMO'd in, and this is another lesson learned here from the overall situation that I just wanted to share. So I always said keep money on the sidelines, and I still have some money on the sidelines, for example, to be able to buy today. But overall, I could have done better on this one, and we don't know how deep we can fall. If Bitcoin falls to 20,000, the Ecomis and Vechains and Chiliz of these worlds, they will fall exponentially more, and we will wish that we have all the money still to be able to take advantage. On the other hand, things can come up again, and we could feel that we have missed out on this last purchase because we were buying the dip and then it dipped more, and we were buying that dip and it dipped more. But I just wanted to share honestly and point blank with you guys these lessons learned. Now, there is another point that I wanted to address, and besides doing all the research and having some self-control and forge a very bulletproof mindset where you can accept, even if my portfolio goes down to $10 because of a brutal retracement, I will keep DCAing, I will bring my average down. So besides that, we need something more, because there's always the possibility that some projects where we invested more will, for whatever unforeseeable reason, go to zero and die. So another lesson learned here is finding the right mix so that we don't spread ourselves too thin, because then we're unable to research and follow the news and developments of all those projects. But we also don't want, like some of these lunar victims, let's say, we don't want to invest only in one project, everything that we have, and then it dies and we are done. So we want to find the right mix of a couple of projects that, and I did this mistake as well, that I helicoptered some money into some projects that I just can't follow anymore. So I need to go a little bit more narrow focused here to be able to follow all the news, to research the fundamentals, to see what happens, what changes. And I think this is very important. So this is another lesson learned here. And yeah, in the end, if some projects are dying, that can still happen, even though if we did all our research and we did our best. And that is always what we have to have as part of our mindset. It's not as important that we are perfect. There can be a position of couple of Luna that goes to zero, and we accept that loss, and we accept it as money that we had to pay to actually be able to learn from that, like we do right now. And here is the last point, and for me this is the most important point, because yes, everyone is investing to get rich. This is the first objective. So everyone invests to get rich, for becoming rich. And yes, I think we are all on the journey to somewhat like financial freedom, or to being able to do more with our funds, to experience more, to get out more from life. But on the side, we cannot forget, if we have these failures and we learn, we also generate stories, important stories where we can deduct a lot from, which we can tell to others, and which just make our lives rich. And I want to just put out this imagination. Let's say we are one day all together, that you are watching this right now, and me, sitting in beautiful nature, 90 years old, gray hair. We know that we are at the end of our lifetimes, and what stories do we have to tell each other? What stories do we have to tell the other guys in the wheelchair with our counted days? Do we have any stories that are worth sharing? And did we try to live up to our potential and to realize our own dreams? Did we at least try? Because I read an article about some people wrote that are working in these facilities where you accompany dying people on their last days, and on an average of more than 75%, these people's first and mostly only regret was never having tried certain things, never having tried to talk to that person that could have been their soulmate and went with them until the end of life, never have to try to bury the hedge with family members, never having tried to found a company, never having tried to start a project or to help other people, never having tried to invest, never having tried to become financially independent out of fear for failing in that certain thing. And then in the end of these last days, this regret must be so hard, because you're not able anymore to go back in time and to do it all differently, and you'll have to live these last days with this thought, had I only. And I think if we consider our investment period, yes, we could lose a lot of money. We could also make a tremendous amount of profits, but the only thing that we don't want to do is being at these final days of our life and think back, man, had I only invested in crypto. Okay, you did that already, that's why you're here watching the videos, but man, had I only had the courage to keep DCAing in that extensive bear market when everyone was fearful. Man, had I only done so. This part of the regret. Now there's the other side, to already now think into the future and imagine what we will talk about in a couple of years. Man, do you remember these days when Terra imploded and people lost a shit ton of money and the whole market went into fear and it was on the verge of other stable coins collapsing? Do you remember those days when we held strong, when we kept and stuck to our plan, where we didn't make the mistake of overextending. Do you remember those days? Crazy times, and this was one of the worst implosions ever, and we came out of that stronger than ever. We forged our mindset in that time, and now we are able to capitalize because of that. I was able to do that. So this is also the reason why I started the YouTube channel, because if you imagine yourself talking in front of other people, talking to other people, also putting your opinion out there, this is something where you consider many times, should I really do that? Because the internet never forgets anything. And if I put my opinion out there and I discuss with people and I just have some assumptions or some points that other people disagree, that's out there. I put my opinion out there, and it's not so easy. But I thought to myself, I just want to do that because I don't want to think back when I'm at the end of my days. Had I only started a YouTube channel in those times when it was so important to do something new and to live up in this digital world, and I just wanted to try that out, and I don't want to have to explain to my future self that I never did that. So this is just something to consider, and this could also be something where you just think, okay, is that a possibility for me, or is that how I think, or should I maybe rethink my mindset? But in the end, it's all about stories, and maybe this advice, not even advice, but this considerations philosophy helps you a little bit in other parts of life, because I have missed out on a lot of opportunities just because I was too afraid of just trying. And most people don't regret that they tried something and failed. They only regret that they didn't try. So if this YouTube channel goes nowhere because you guys say, okay, not really worth watching, then that's okay, because then I tried. But never trying, I will not do those mistakes again. And that is the reason why I want to try to make the best out of this bear market. But for the sake of the length of this video and your precious time to try things now, I will leave it with that. And I can only say, try to keep a calm mind, go out into nature. Sometimes it's good to just abandon the whole crypto portfolio and checking it all the time, just for a couple of hours. Sit down, quieting the mind, reflecting, also trying to see where have I made a mistake. I paid some money for that mistake, and what can I deduct from that, learn, get better by that. And yeah, I think this channel is meant to be the journey of how I am seeing things, what I can learn from this. And let me know in the comments below if you enjoy this type of content, and also what you think about this, if I'm right, if I'm wrong. Or give me your thoughts, give me your lesson learned from the last months, and also your failures. I really want to know about all of this. And yes, despite the whole situation and the terror disaster, wherever you are on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon, and see you in the next video.